Republicans just got played. We have seen crazy, scripted, rigged theater before in American politics. The best example of this is Donald Trump being elected president to begin with. And holy hell, what an idiocracy America is. And what a bigger idiocracy this country is if you run Donald Trump up against a guy with dementia, which is Joe Biden. But there's a deal behind closed doors, and that is for Joe Biden to drop out of the race because he is supposed to be the cool Uncle Joe. That's who the DNC want Joe Biden to be. Cool Uncle Joe. Everybody likes Joe. He's a little creepy, but everyone likes Joe. This is their way of shutting out Bernie Sanders. Oh, you got to get behind the winner. Bernie won't beat Donald Trump. The establishment clearly is shutting out Bernie Sanders. But this guy, Joe Biden, is going to pick a woman because this guy co-sponsored the Violence Against Women Act, which was passed in 1994. 1994 is a 23 year. Even 1994 itself adds up to 113, and the election is on a date of November-3. And that is where you're getting the ticket of Warren and Biden. Because the deal is for Klobuchar and Buttigieg to get cabinet spots by endorsing Joe Biden. How Joe Biden, who he really needed on Super Tuesday was Elizabeth Warren, the last one standing in this race to split the progressive vote. And that, she was the biggest help to Joe Biden. Like, Klobuchar and Buttigieg dropping out was a dead giveaway. But who we really needed to win on Super Tuesday is Elizabeth Warren. And that's why they have brokered a deal behind closed doors for Joe Biden to choose Elizabeth Warren as his running mate. The DNC will tell Joe Biden to step down if he has massive dementia. Or on his own, Joe Biden's going to drop out and he is going to choose Elizabeth Warren, setting up massive drama on Democratic National Convention Day. Indeed, it is drama that has dementia of 37. It is Biden. Joe Biden has dementia of 37. His first state that he won was in Carolina, South Carolina. But he steps down. He really doesn't want to be president. He knows, his family knows that he has dementia. That's not a Russian conspiracy theory at all. But Joe Biden's going to step down over at the convention. Elizabeth Warren is the chosen one to become the president. And the election of the first female president is, in fact, supposed to be in the most sexist manner possible. Where the woman doesn't win the election, the woman has to be chosen by the man. The man has to exert the power. The man has to keep the woman alive. In terms of Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden holds the cards for her presidency. And the guy who passed the Violence Against Women Act inevitably is going to be responsible for the first female president in America. And this is going to happen. This is election drama. Donald is going to make fun of Joe Biden's dementia. If the Democratic establishment doesn't want to help Trump win, then this is what they're going to do. They're going to tell Joe Biden to step down, and they're going to rally women around putting in against Donald Trump in order to put in a fake progressive. And that's ultimately who Elizabeth Warren is. She's a better candidate than Joe Biden. She get more done. She has more ideas than Joe Biden. She's actually a better pick for president. And that shows why Joe Biden supporters are just complete retarded morons like Donald Trump supporters. I mean, they're both equally the same in my opinion. Joe Biden, Donald Trump supporters, just mentally retarded midgets who don't understand that what they're supporting is a corporate establishment puppet. Joe Biden stepping down. Vice President Elizabeth Warren gets the nomination. This is who the Zionists want. The Zionists want Queen Elizabeth to be president. Her name is Queen Elizabeth. Once again, it's Biden, it's Trump, it's invoking the 25th Amendment against Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Well, you can pretty clearly see that the ramblings from the establishment, they are really pushing Russia as to blame for everything that the establishment doesn't want. Oh, they want Bernie to be president. Oh, they're saying Joe Biden has dementia. It's Russia, Russia, Russia. It's ignoring the real Russian connections because the establishment, they picked Trump to serve as the oligarch overlord over the people. And all this Russian connections proved to be true. So the establishment are using Russia to silence the opposition, Bernie Sanders. Meanwhile, they had no problem with Trump, and it just reiterates that there is truth to the Russian angle, but it's a bunch of misinformation being put out in regards to Russia today. It's even women that has the same gematria as Moscow. You cannot discount that at all. The Violence Against Women Act of 1994 is going to pave the way for the 46th president in 2021. And the fact of the matter is that Biden has dementia. He won't be nominated. Cool Uncle Joe's going to step down. He's going to put the woman in there, and that's how the Democrats are going to win. The Violence Against Women Act of 1994 is why Biden is going to step down and Elizabeth Warren is going to be the nominee at Wisconsin. This is going to give us Warren versus Trump. This is all going to happen 26 years after the Violence Against Women Act of 1994 was passed. The craziness doesn't stop there. Joe Biden, he's going to choose Warren as president of the United States. And now this gematria of 100 has to do with the fact that this is all happening 100 years later after 1920. So the drama does not stop right there. When Joe Biden steps down at Milwaukee, that is going to pave the way for Warren's nomination. These have the same gematrias of 87. Now keep in mind that it is Milwaukee that's 37 and Joe Biden is the front runner. You see that Joe Biden and Carolina equal 37? Now this is all happening 100 years later. What's the story 100 years later? Is that the first female president is going to be nominated over at Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as I've said before. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, President Warren have gematria of 81. The amount of time from the Violence Against Women Act, September 13th, to Election Day, November the 3rd, well, actually, the better indicator is going to be December the 14th. That's the day that the Electoral College is going to select the first female president of the United States. This is all a time span of 3 months and 2 days. And it is liberal that has gematria of 32. It is also Democrat that has gematria of 32. Now, the other thing to look out for is Joe Biden's 2020 campaign. The beginning of his campaign and then the end of his campaign. April the 29th of 2019 was the first day of his campaign. And now, what day of the year was April the 29th? Because I think that's an interesting proposition. 100th, 19th day of the year. That's the gematria of Trump as a one-term president is 119. And Mr. Trump, M.R. Trump, as gematria of 119 too. And this guy's a really big Zionist puppet, Donald Trump. This guy is one of the biggest AIPAC supporters of all time. Bernie Sanders has called out the Zionists out there. 63 weeks later, 64 weeks later, 444 days from Joe Biden running for president to the end of the Democratic National Convention. Now, this is an interesting find here, the 444. What is this really telling us? The 63, what it's telling us is the fact that they're going to end up choosing, it's not really a progressive, but that is going to be the narrative, is running a progressive Senator Warren in the women coalition up against Trump. That's what they're trying to do. The female voter coalition up against Donald Trump. The women voter coalition up against President Donald Trump, the pussy grabber. And Uncle Joe is going to trigger Trump when he drops out and when he puts Elizabeth Warren and all the females up against Donald, because that is the script. This is only the element of suspense right here. Oh, women's done. It's Joe Biden's dementia against Donald Trump. Joe Biden is dementia. Donald Trump won. Donald Trump won. Donald Trump won. And when Biden steps down, you have a real race. You have a coronavirus panic and a stock market crash. Who would be most idle to respond at the moment that we are facing an epidemic in America? We're facing a financial collapse. The answer is Elizabeth. The female coalition that is needed to defeat Donald Trump cannot be any more clear. Female coalition. Donald John Trump has gematria of 68. How about the stock market crash that I have been predicting? I had no idea it would be an epidemic that would cause it. Joe Biden's pick. Biden's pick has gematria of 92. Biden's pick. There it is. Let's go back. Biden's pick. The amount of time from the Violence Against Women Act, September the 13th to December the 14th is 92 days. Female president. Woman president, 176. 176 days from Elizabeth Warren's birthday to the day of the election. This is the 92 connection that I have been talking about right here. Biden's pick is going to be president. Lisa Simpson, we have a debt problem. We inherited it from Donald Trump. I mean, you all are just getting played right now. Because the best is yet to come right here. Joe Biden is going to be dropping out. Biden will not be nominated. It is all part of the script. And now the meaning of Milwaukee with this, we could talk about what this is telling us in terms of the grab him by the pussy, beat the misogynist. Joseph Biden won't be nominated. His campaign began on the 119th day of the year of 2019. Joseph Biden won't be nominated. Mr. Trump, Trump is a one-term president, which we know he's going to be a one-term president because of his awful presidency and all the surrounding chaos of the crash. He's a one-term president. And you know Bernie Sanders is not going to be chosen. The craziness, the drama has only begun. Joe Biden may not be assassinated. The DNC may not even tell him. Well, this may explicitly imply that the DNC is going to tell him to step down. The DNC chose Warren. They chose Elizabeth Warren a long time ago. I told you Bernie Sanders wasn't going to win. They chose Warren. And I'm convinced that they chose Warren because they're not going to let this guy win here. The DNC chose Warren. This is who they want to handle the crash. The proper ward would be picked. The DNC picked Elizabeth Warren. I bet they did. DNC picked Elizabeth Warren as gematria of 119. Joe Biden's campaign began on the 119th day. They picked Warren. They certainly did. Warren is the pick of the elite. And you just type in 2020 winner, it can mean many things. 2020 winner. Russia 87, far right 87, idiocracy 87. The elites win because of this idiocracy. Female has gematria 42. But many scenarios are playing out. The 2020 election winner, the gematria of 95, is going to be decided with this women voter coalition that we're going to see. That is the plan. The guy has to get in front in the most sexist manner possible. The first female president has to be picked by a man. This all speaks patriarchy at the top. And Hillary Clinton choosing not to campaign in the swing states. You know, Bill Clinton was like, it's that economy, stupid. They've done it right here again. They certainly did. The craziness, the drama, it has only started right now. And this does not even include the coronavirus right now. Oh, let me see what reference I had on the top here. Was that in 171 or whatnot? I think this is the appropriate time to stop right here for the video. But if you watch the Simpsons episode, we have inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. Elizabeth Warren said that. Or, excuse me, Lisa Simpson said that. So, in other words, Elizabeth Warren said that. And she chose to attack Bloomberg. She didn't choose to go all out on Biden. The smart lady knows what she's doing, man. She is gearing up for being president instead of 77-year-old Joe Biden.